Howdy, hey everyone, it is London and I am so excited to welcome you back to Happily Adventures After. We are here and we are excited for you to be joining us for our Hey Disney Give Me a Review this week, which, as many of you know, is your virtual concierge for all things Disney. Just like the Hey Disney feature on the Amazon Alexas in Walt Disney World, that overlay, we're here to bring the magic straight to you. Whether you're planning a trip to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, whatever it may be, maybe you want to explore Walt Disney World's best dining, park experiences, flights, hotels, and so much more. We've got you covered here at Happily Adventures After with our real and honest Hey Disney, Give Me a Review. So, that was our fun introduction. We're here this week to discuss and dive into Hollywood Studios' masterpiece, the attraction that set the bar so stinking high for so many attractions within Walt Disney World, Universal, and so many more, which is Star Wars: Rise of the Resistance. And we're also going to dive into the new single rider option. So whether you're a Star Wars fan or just love an immersive game-changing theme park attraction, Rise of the Resistance is a must-do. But honestly, does it live up to the hype? Okay, let's see. Star Wars Rise of the Resistance is a groundbreaking theme park attraction located at Disney's Hollywood Studios and Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. There is also one in Disneyland and I just said Disneyland in Disneyland. Wow, nailed it. There is one in Disneyland in California. However, we're going to be talking about the one in Florida here, right? So the one in Florida officially opened on December 5th, 2019 as part of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge expansion. This attraction consists of one of the most ambitious and immersive experiences Disney has ever created, combining multiple style ride systems and cutting-edge technology to fully immerse guests in the Star Wars universe. And I have to say, you do not miss out. This attraction is jam-packed. I don't know Star Wars, and I love it. Like, I'm not a part of anything in Star Wars, like, ooh, this is so great. I love this attraction. I think it's incredible. As a side tangent, I was also there the day it opened. And we tried to get on it 3 days in a row and didn't until one incredible cast member. Like, we got 2 sets of free day tickets to get on this attraction. This was Disney peak. I will discuss the story to the high heavens. Thank you, God, for our experience. This was incredible. Like I said, we took like 3 days to get on it. We kept going back and back and back. Our groups never got called. They gave us fast passes. It went down. They gave us fast passes again to make sure we got on the ride. Long story short, it was really fun to be there opening day. The hype was real, but this attraction is incredible. So, in being engulfed in the Star Wars universe, a guest here is recruited into the Resistance to help fight the First Order, encountering familiar characters such as Rey, BB-8, and Kylo Ren. The attraction's multi-phase experience includes a trackless ride vehicle, motion simulators, real animatronics, and cutting-edge epic adventures that make for a cinematic experience as an attraction. It quickly became one of the must-dos in Disney Hollywood Studios as well as Disneyland and a fan favorite of Star Wars enthusiasts. So if that doesn't describe the hype of this attraction, I don't know what does, because it is phenomenal. It immerses you in more ways than you can imagine, because this is more than just a ride. It truly is. It is more than an attraction. It is an experience. From the moment you enter the Resistance base, basically the queue, you're not a guest. You're a recruit on a secret mission to take down the First Order. The pre-show featuring BB-8 and a holographic Rey, like, this is a holographic effect to the next level. It is so cool. It sets the stage perfectly. And then you have the transport sequence where Lieutenant Beck, a seamless transition from a queue to a story, again, phenomenal, comes and tells you about your mission. This part alone makes you feel more than just a theme park ride or an attraction. It is a full-blown adventure. And we know Disney does pre-shows well. I'm talking to you, Flight of Passage. But Rise of the Resistance takes it to a new level. And just when you think the experience has peaked, you step into a hangar bay of First Order Star Destroyers, which I have to say is one of the most jaw-dropping moments in any theme park attraction history. Again, as I said, I was there the day it opened. It just happened to be coincidence. We planned the trip before we knew when this was opening. And I remember walking in being like, oh my gosh. It was so cool, so real, so lifelike. The cast members who are in character do a phenomenal job at making you feel like you are immersed. It was just, it is impeccable. You have rows and rows of stormtroopers, the massive projections of space outside the bay doors, and the eerie First Order, the score, and like I said, the cast members. Oh, impeccable. This attraction is more than anything you could dream of. As I said, Rise of the Resistance is set apart in a class on its own. But what does this? Well, it uses multiple ride systems to create a rich and varied experience. So it has a trackless dark ride system. So we're thinking like Ratatouille and Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, more intense. Basically, we started with the best and ended with the worst, which is Ratatouille. But that sort of technology. It has a drop sequence, which if you've been on it, no surprise. But if you haven't, super cool surprise. And it's really minor, but it's still a fun thrill. It has motion simulations. And these elements give like that Star Tours without you feeling nauseous beyond belief. Like, it's amazing. Plus those realistic animatronics and the massive scale set pieces. Like Kylo Ren's presence is legitimately intimidating. You see Finn just hiding from different things. I don't know. I'm going to be told the wrong thing. Is it AT-AT or AT-AT? Whoever wants to say it. But those real life, oh my word, those are amazing. The trackless system keeps things very unpredictable. And 1 second you're speeding through a hangar and the next thing you know, you're dodging fire blasters. And then boom, you're face to face with the AT-AT walkers or AT-AT walkers, whatever you want to call them, which move and fire at you. This attraction is like no other, especially when the animatronic Kylo Ren, who is absolutely impressive. However, I have seen him in B mode, not as impressive. B mode is a show mode, for anybody who doesn't know, that Disney uses when things aren't working. So they have a backup to make sure the attraction is always running. B mode screen version is not as cool, but Kylo Ren in itself is always amazing. And it is so effective. And the animatronics are what you come for. So I think I just gave you a whole synopsis on this attraction and the multi-layered masterpiece that is this attraction. This is supposed to be a real and honest review, and if you couldn't guess, let's just say this is a phenomenal attraction. So now that we discussed the actual, like the systems in it, and what this attraction is all about, where it's located, all of that, I want to get into the usual wait times for this attraction and the ride reliability, because sometimes that is the real villain in the story, not Kylo Ren. Because like many of Disney's ambitious attractions, which I am looking at you, Tron Light Cycle Run, Rise of the Resistance has its fair share of technical difficulties. If you've ever tried to road trip it, you know the pain of seeing the dreaded temporarily closed sign as you walk into Galaxy's Edge. Honestly, it does vary. Sometimes the wait time for this attraction can peak up to 2 hours in line. Part of it is indoors, part of it is outside. I will say the indoors is very tight, so if you're claustrophobic, not your friend. Outdoors, Hollywood Studios is hot, so again, not your friend. And it can be up to 2 hours, and I don't honestly think it is worth wanting to stand in line for 2+ hours, no matter how immersive this attraction is. I don't want to say you're wasting your day, but you can do other things. With that being said, I have to say that the single use or the single pass lightning lane is the safest way to ride this attraction without stress. Please note, it does sell out quickly. Like I'm talking before you have your morning coffee quickly on the 7 a.m. day, whether you're a resort guest or whether you are a at-home person at the greater Orlando area, or if you're staying off property. Basically, if you're going to do the lightning lane, you want to get on it really fast before 7 a.m. Like, do your party, do everything before that 7 a.m. before you can purchase the single pass lightning lane, because it will sell out. And there's not much else you can do about it. So you'd have to then, if you don't get it, stand in the queue. This way, getting that single-use lightning lane, which is it's expensive. It's about $25 plus tax per person US. And tax is 7% in Florida. So we're looking at about, quick math, $27, I'd say, give or take. It's expensive. So especially for a family of 4, you're over $100 just to ride this attraction in US. But it does help out making sure you get on this attraction. As I said, the queue is very well themed, but let's be honest, you don't want to stand in line for 2 hours. So again, lightning lane, be there, re-ride it if you want to in the queue after you've done it with Lightning Lane. And I also will note that if it does go down, like I said, this attraction goes down a lot. I think I have been told it is due to the trackless ride system. If one thing is out of place or something falls on the floor, it has to reset. So it has worked out the kinks in the nearly 6 years it has been open, but it can go down. So if it does go down, you can either get your money back for doing that if you had a Lightning Lane, or you can ride it at a later time. So talk to a cast member about that. So just so you know, I wanted to point that out because it has very high wait times. Its reliability is questionable sometimes, and I think that Lightning Lane is the safest way to go. There is a single rider option. Please note that you can do single rider with this attraction, but it is very, very depending on how many people they need to do the single rider per little ride vehicle. So there's 6 seats in the ride vehicle, and often people do things in even numbers. So they may say it's a 15-minute wait and you go up to an hour. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge of what's to come. But just note that there is a single rider test basically going on for this attraction. However, it can vary and it will vary. So take that into plans, take that into consideration when you're making your plans, all of that. So that was a great segue into my single rider experience for this Hey Disney Give Me a Review Rise of the Resistance single rider. So during my last visit to Walt Disney World, they were testing out the single rider line at Rise of the Resistance. And I decided, hey, let's do this. This sounds great. Instead of purchasing the Lightning Lane for the individual one or standing in the queue, which was about 55 minutes. And as a reminder, Disney inflates wait times, okay? It's to make sure that you're not waiting over the wait time and being upset. So again, it was 55 minutes is pretty low for it. I've seen it, like I said, upwards of 2 hours on a normal day because it was so cold. I was there in January and it was so cold out. I decided, hey, this is great because I was the only person that wanted to ride single rider. I was quoted just because I asked, and it was for testing sake, in all honesty. I was estimated from the cast member that the wait for single rider would be about 15 minutes. The regular attraction queue was 55 minutes. And I timed it. My actual wait for single rider was 62 minutes. So I could have waited the real standby and been on the ride shorter than I could have by doing the single rider. Now, this is no fault to the cast member because it is truly estimation, but I'm saying all of that to give you an idea of how difficult it can be to do single rider here. It's like Rock and Roller Coaster. That is one of the most notorious, worst single rider queues you could ever be in because you're usually riding a lot later than what the posted queue says. So usually you have a double wait time I've seen, or 1.5 times. So not only did I wait part of the regular queue, I waited more, plus I bypassed the best experiences, which are no transport shuttle scene, no Lieutenant Beck, no Ray hologram, and no key interactive moments in the queue. By using the single rider, I missed out on what makes Rise of the Resistance, and something that is so incredibly special. I have done Rise of the Resistance multiple times, like over 20. However, the full immersive storytelling, I think, is part of the best scenes, part of the best show, part of the best reasons why you do this. And no matter what, it sucked missing it. I didn't realize how much of the queue I would miss out. So basically, you go up to the single rider line, you weave through some of the parts, you completely and totally miss the holographic scene. You get kind of like ushered, you and the rest of the single riders who are there, ushered into passing the transport shuttle, and you go all the way around back into this random hallway that's probably used for like cast member exits and stuff. And you end up into just like an exit door where all of the stormtroopers are in that area. You don't actually get time to take photos or see anything because they're doing you in between when different full rider experiences, like the people who are either paying for the single lane or waiting in the queue to be there. So you just get basically brought through, you kind of get a second, you get ushered through, you stand in a single rider area where the queue is. I don't know if anybody remembers or you've done it before. It used to go odds and evens on left or right when you get into that sorting area. However, now it's just single rider on the left and everybody else in the queue goes on the right. in my experience, like I said, I waited about 40 minutes just in that area alone. And it was warm. And like I said, it was freezing out. But because you're just standing there, it was very warm. I was just by myself. It was fine. But like I said, it's not something I would recommend doing. If you're just there doing it by yourself, have at it. You might get lucky and have that estimated 15-minute wait, because it is truly depending. And I know the cast member said this to me. Like I said, I wasn't upset. It was just more of an experiment. It's truly depending on what parties are going through. So if we have a huge influx of odd number of people, so 5, 3s kind of thing, 7s, you're going to get put with them very quickly. When I was there, we had a lot of 2s, 4s, 6s, so on and so forth. And you have no instance of going because they are a 6-person vehicle. So, like I said, would I recommend single rider? Absolutely no. No way. If you're riding alone, please buy individual lightning lanes, because I heard quite a few people saying we bought them and they were just riding alone, or there was 2 of them and they were just blowing through the line compared to everybody else. It will guarantee you a much shorter wait time, and you won't miss any of the immersive pre-show moments, which in my experience, I think is the best part of the attraction. So overall, but of single rider, I think it is, yes, it is great to have, especially if you're there alone and you just want to try it, do it. However, I don't think that it's the best bang for your buck, much like Rock and Roller Coaster, because you're not actually going to miss out on that line, and you should go through the regular queue to see and experience everything that there is. If you want a shorter queue, buy the lightning lane on this area, and then you will keep going because it'll be way better and you'll have a guaranteed shorter wait time. Let's get into both pros and cons of Rise of the Resistance as a single rider. This is not about the attraction. If you could not tell, I love this attraction as itself, but I want to really dive into the pros and cons of the single rider line, because that is more new. It's in its testing phase right now. It pops up from now and again, and trust me, there are some really great benefits, but there are some negative sides, which we all know that's everything in life. There are pros and cons to everything, so let's jump into it. So pros and cons of Rise of the Resistance as a single rider. Your first pro is it is a posted shorter wait time. So single rider lines often do have shorter wait times, especially when there's a long standby queue, which can be a great way to experience the attraction with less time spent in line. Now, that's not always guaranteed, especially in my experience, but it is a pro that is stated. Number 2, it is a quick experience, especially if you're traveling solo or don't mind riding with strangers and breaking up from your party. A single rider option gives you the ability to ride through theoretically faster, allowing you to enjoy more of your day. It also allows you to experience different aspects of the attraction, because single rider allows you to experience the attraction, not the pre-show. Please note that. The attraction, not the pre-show. You get to see some of the incredible sets and effects and the storytelling that makes Rise of the Resistance, but you do miss out on parts of the other pre-show, which I think are the best parts of the attraction. So you get to experience it as it's full, but you miss some things. And lastly, there's less pressure. If you don't mind being seated with somebody who you don't know, the single rider line gives you more flexibility to enjoy the day without having to worry about the group experience or making that time if you bought a single pass or standing in the queue. Let's get into the cons of the single rider line for Rise of the Resistance. There is less chance of riding with your group. So one of the biggest downsides is that you may not and usually will not ride with your party. If you're visiting with your friends and family, this might not be ideal if you want to choose to experience, and I highly suggest that you do, the attraction together. I think that's one of the best parts, is experiencing it all together, especially if you are Star Wars fans. I think that the single rider kind of messes with that and doesn't allow you to. Everybody gets to still experience it, but you don't get the fun and the enjoyment of doing it. And one of the things I think I love most about this attraction is my memories with my family, doing it multiple times and seeing everybody's reaction and seeing how cool it was. Also, the second con is the unpredictable seating assignment. So since single rider doesn't guarantee specific seating, you might not get to experience the attraction as those who do in the regular queue, because you're going to be just placed where you want to be. You can't really ask, if you're in the single rider, can I sit in the front or can I sit in the front middle? You just go where you're going to go. So there's that. There's also a con that is a potential for delays, especially if the single rider is backed up, has fewer available seats. Like I had mentioned, you have an influx of people with even numbers. The ride is going to take longer than expected, especially if you're trying to do this very quickly. It's not really a time-saving advantage. You just don't know what's going to happen. And last con is that it's not always available. So single rider for Rise of the Resistance seems to be testing out right now. So the line may be closed or temporarily unavailable. So just know that you might have to wait in the regular queue or buy the individual lightning lane anyways. So that is a con. And obviously the one con is it can be longer than what you expect. So those are the pros and cons for Rise of the Resistance single rider. So we talked about the attraction in itself. We talked about the single rider. We talked about the immersion and everything that goes with it. Let's talk about overall ratings. So drum roll please. Bum, ba, da, bum. The overall rating for Rise of the Resistance, both the attraction and the single rider. I'm going to give you both because, hey, it's just me. I have to say, the ride attraction experience in itself, so Rise of the Resistance as itself is a 5 out of 5. I cannot rate this thing any higher. If I could, I would. It is an absolute masterpiece. It's a multi-phase ride that takes you deep into the Star Wars adventure. And if you are somebody who doesn't even know Star Wars, you will still love it. The immersion is that great. From being captured from the First Order to a daring escape with the Resistance, it is phenomenal. This, combined with the trackless ride technology, the massive set pieces, and the animatronics, all create an unparalleled attraction that continues to impress 6 years deep when I'm recording this. So whether you're a diehard Star Wars fan or you just love a well-executed theme park attraction, this is a must-do. I cannot speak highly of this more because it is phenomenal. Now let's talk about the single rider. I'm going to give the single rider a 2 out of 5 because on paper, this should be great, right? Disney's introduction of a single rider for Rise of the Resistance seems like a great and interesting addition, but trying to bypass the queue, which is really long, was a great idea. However, in my experience, it showed that the outcome comes with drawbacks. Main issue, you skip what makes the pre-show incredible, and you just get shuttled to the actual ride vehicle and spend basically an unpredictable amount of time. It could be 15 minutes when the posted attraction's an hour, or it could be 62 minutes when it's posted at 50 minutes and you missed all the cool queue and you waited longer. So missing the pre-show elements is a huge part of what makes Rise of the Resistance, and I think that in itself is not a great option. So the single rider line really does get you onto the attraction theoretically faster. Like, you're taking less steps, you're not actually taking the pre-show. It doesn't actually happen always quicker due to vehicle configurations, people getting on and off, the ride going down, things like that. And it really does significantly reduce the storytelling impact. So without a briefing from Rey or BB-8, or getting onto that transport ship and having that experience, or the dramatic First Order capture, the ride loses a lot of the buildup and anticipation and the emotional weight. So you're basically standing in line to escape and you don't know what's going on if you've never done it before. It just makes it feel like a regular thrill ride without a fully immersive experience. So I'm going to give you an example. I stood in line when I did this with a family. So there were 3 adults and a little girl. They had never done this attraction before, and they were also quoted a 15-minute wait time, so they just jumped in. We got to talking while I stood in line because I was just standing there by myself, and I asked them had they had done this attraction before. They said no. I said, you missed out on everything that makes it special. So I highly suggested that they go back and get onto the pre-show and get everything in, because 2 of the people that were there were diehard Star Wars fan and were asking everybody like, okay, when's this going to happen? We read about this online. When's this going to happen? I was like, I'm sorry you missed it. They also wanted to take pictures of the stormtroopers, but we couldn't because we were in that in-between phase of when we get let out and then the actual queue getting put in, and you don't want everybody molding, so the single rider line stays with the single rider line. Not the cast members' fault by any means. That's just the way it operates. So I highly suggest, especially if you have never done this before, you need to do either an individual lightning lane or go back and wait through the queue. It is not anything at all that you think it is if you've never done it before and are just doing the single rider. Like I said, I've done this ride quite a few times and I knew what was going on. So for me, it wasn't actually anything negative. Well, it was, but you know what I mean? Like, I didn't miss anything. if I had never done this before, this was only my second or third time doing it, you're going to miss out on that anticipation and that rush that makes you emotionally invested in it and to see how cool it is. And I think that takes away from the attraction experience, because those people that I was talking to, we were kind of close. A couple of them got off the ride and were like, okay, that was fun, but like, we just got off of something that just makes us seem like we're escaping. It wasn't that, oh my goodness, we're in this, we're doing it, and you're getting involved. So that's why I gave the single rider such a low rating, but the ride itself, an excellent rating. I think the single rider is great when it's great, but you do miss out on a lot of things that make you emotionally invested. So, final thoughts on that. Single rider for Rise of the Resistance is a great way to save time in theory. It does sacrifice a lot of the immersion and the magic that makes this attraction a 5 out of 5 plus experience. So if it's your first time riding, I highly recommend you do the full queue or the individual attraction selection for that lightning lane to give you the full storytelling experience. If you're a frequent visitor or you just want to do some experimenting like me, single rider is a solid option. But overall, I think that the Rise of the Resistance attraction itself, phenomenal. Single rideable, kind of questionable. But hey, that's just my experience and I wanted to share it with you in this Hey Disney, Give Me a Review. All right, everybody, that is it for this Hey Disney, Give Me a Review on Happily Adventures After. Well, I hope that you enjoyed it. I want to know your thoughts. Have you done Rise of the Resistance in general? Do you think the ride and the attraction is a 5 out of 5 experience? Or you're like, hey, I don't like this, and that is totally fair. Or have you done the single rider? Have you had a great experience where they said it was 15 minutes and it was going to be 15 minutes and you got on and you knew it was going on and everybody was all happy? What are your thoughts? What are your experiences? You let me know. How would you modify the single rider line to make it more immersive? Tell me, let me know in the comments, either on our corresponding blog post, on our blog itself, get connected on our Instagram, which is at Happily Adventures After, like I said, our website, or here on our podcast. Please leave a comment and let us know, because your comments, your thoughts, your ideas make everything more magical. Well, that's it for me, and I cannot wait to hear from you. I look forward to seeing you back on Hey Disney, Give Me a Review, and anything else that Happily Adventures After has to offer. Well, it's London. That's me. I hope you have a blessed and amazing day. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.